Hey guys, my name is Octoman and today I'm going to show you a new particle system effect which is going to be a hammer burst effect. That means if you have a big hammer character and he is going to hit the ground with that one, I will create some cracks and some dust particles, or actually cloud particles, and a bit of dirt going up and then falling down to the ground or wherever you want. This is nothing special, but I want to show you this one pretty quick. This is how it will look. So we will create the cracks on the ground where the hammer hits the ground. Actually, then the particles of dirt are going down to the ground and the clouds are pushing from the middle to outside and will rotate a bit. So pretty simple, pretty quick. So let's get started. The first thing is, again, we need some textures. The first one is going to be a crack texture. I can't show you this one that nicely, but I will show you this one on the way. So create one with that cracks in a circle way from the middle to outside. Paint some cracks inside. Do it also with black or with any color you see better, and then just choose negative, so you will have a white white alpha map. Don't forget to make everything white, like you do other particle stuffs. Also create clouds or whatever you want to make your dust with, which is going outside from the middle. So once you import that textures, then go here and change it from texture to sprite 2D, and then apply the changes. Also create materials for each of those. Just right click, create material, and in there just let me show you this one pretty quick. Rename them properly so you will find them later on, and in the albedo channel just drag the texture from the ground inside into that one, from the crack I mean, and go to the shader and change this one, which is pretty much important, especially for the ground crack. Go to mobile, then go to particles, and then to alpha blended. So then you will have that nice texture and all that transparent stuff of the map. So once you have created that material, do the same for the clouds. So go to particles, alpha blended. I'm going to delete my old one and this one too. So have the crack and the clouds ready. So that was the wrong one. So I'm going to delete this one since I have one already and create a blank new one. So into the hierarchy panel, I just go right click and create particle system and zero this one out at 0, 0, 0. And the first thing is we want to create the cracks on the ground. So what we need is, we need to go to the render tab at first and change the render mode from billboard to mesh. Then we get some meshes, which are cubes at the moment. And we change the cube, the mesh type of quad. So that will all be planes which are facing to the top. Then close this window over here and take our material, which is going to be the crack material, and drag this in the materials folder. So since we don't want the cracks fly from the bottom to the top, we just decrease the speed to 0. So all of them will be on the ground. But since we don't want that much and so much random on the ground, we go to emission and change the rate to 0 and go into the burst part and select once the plus, and we get bursts. So every time of the duration time will be created 30 particles, but 30 is too much. We just need 2 or maybe 3. Okay, so the next thing is I go to shape and just disable shape. So these cracks will only be at one spot, at one position. We don't want them to apply into a shape. So now we have the cracks on the ground, And since I want some rotation inside of the cracks, I change the start rotation from constant, which you can reach from that small arrows on the right side, to random between two constants. And I start at 0, and I want a rotation of 360. So they will now be created between 0 and 360 degrees with every burst. The next thing is I decrease the duration time to 0 and the lifetime to 1.8. Once that's set up, I go to color over lifetime tab, enable this one, select the bar, and go to the top right arrow here and change the alpha to 0, so they will blend out after a given amount of time. Since my cracks are white and I want them to be black, I just go to the start color and choose black instead. Also, I can go over, since it's a pretty small one, I go to start size and change its size to maybe 4 or 5 depending on the size of your hammer. So test this one out before you start with that, or actually while you start work with that, and change this to the right size. So the crack is done, and now we need the clouds which are bursting from the middle point to outside. So select the particle system, don't forget to rename this one to crack, like so, or anyhow else you want this to be. Select this one, right click on it and choose particle system. So we create automatically a children of that particle system onto that particle system. In this we want another burst, so we go to emission, change the rate to 0, and we want to create 30 particles at the same time. Then we go to shape and change it from cone to circle. So all of that particles will emitted from the center, or basically from the shape of the circle, to outside in 300 degrees. That's what we want. The next thing is I want them to emit from the edge. So depending on the hammer size you have or your weapon size, you can change basically the size and where the clouds later on are getting emitted. The next thing is, since all that particles are into the ground, we don't want that, so we go and take that small circle and drag it a bit up. So now all are flowing over the ground and it will later on look better. The next thing is we go to duration and change it to 2, so it will have the same duration as a crack has, and the lifetime needs to be decreased to at least 1.08, so we will fit the old stuff or the other things. Then we go to our renderer again. We let the render mode at billboard, and in the particle material we drag our clouds. Now you can see we have some clouds randomly in between 0 and 360 degrees direction. So since the clouds are a bit too, I don't know, they need to have some rotation, I would say, or basically some dynamics inside. So we go and change rotation over lifetime, select this one and go to the small arrow, and again we go random between two constants and change it from -180 to 180. So they will change, or they will choose any direction between them and rotate in that angle by over lifetime. Since this one is still not enough, and I think this can be more sweeter, I want to make them blend out. So again I go to color over lifetime, choose that panel on the right top arrow, I go with the alpha down to 0, and this one can be like that. And I can also go over and when they get emitted, they have a bit different shades of gray maybe. So we can go and choose random between two colors and change the second one maybe to a bit grayish. So we have some variation inside of that clouds too. We could do the same with the size, but this wouldn't be that big difference, I would say. So, but if you need more dynamics, then you just add some. Since they are flowing too much or too far, I might go over and decrease the speed a bit, like so. And the lifetime can be the same. Yeah, that should be okay. If you have a more powerful hammer smash on the ground, then increase the speed so they flow faster, like that, but decrease the lifetime. So they won't fly too much. So you have more powerful. So change everything you want to make them look how they or how you want them to be. Then once you are done, rename the particle system again. I call them clouds right now. And again, go to the parent object or the parent particle system, right click on it and create the third particle system, and this will be the small dirt particles. You can use later on meshes and stuff on that, but you don't need them for that small effect. Yeah, you want, or you decide what you want and need. Again, we start with the duration of 2, a lifetime of 1.8, and what we want is we want a shape of a cone with a small radius. Since we want to emit them in that angle, we need to increase the angle, maybe like so. Also, we need to I think we decrease the lifetime. No, we don't. 1.8. We will get into that later on. Yeah, that's what you need. The starting speed. So decrease the speed maybe to that, which will be around 2 maybe. And what we want is we want also burst them. So rate at 0, particles plus, and maybe like 30. So now you can see those particles get bursted at the same time outside. What we need is they need to fly up and then back down in the same angle they come out from the shape or from the cone. So we may also need to increase the angle later on. But at first I go over and decrease the size a bit, and also I want to make them a bit more random, so I change the size to maybe 0.18 and 0.2, or maybe a bit more, 0.3. So we have some different sizes into that particles. Now comes the tricky part, or basically the part where we can change the direction over lifetime. So at first I go and change the color to black, so it will fit my crack on the ground. Make sure you do the same, or whatever color you want, or even whatever particles you want, just change them inside the material once again. So now we come to the tricky part again. So first choose velocity over lifetime, make it active. Now it's not going to do anything. First go to the arrow and change this one to curve. We don't need X, we don't need Z, we just need the Y value. So this is a green curve. The other two can just be disabled like that. So they are grayed out. What we want is, we want at first increase the first key or the first point over there a bit, and we add another key over here. Give me just a second. I choose one of the prefabs here. Just take the first prefab, and what you can now do is you can go down with the last part over here. Oh, the problem is we need to set the upper one and the lower one to different. We need some more velocity actually in the minus and in the plus curves. So what we can do is we can say, okay, we are here at maybe 10. So we can see there's a lot of velocity right now. But that's the wrong direction actually. And this one, we need to change the lower one. Okay, so what we want to do is I reset it, or basically resetted that curves again. We go to the Y curve again. I changed the upper limit to 10 by hand, but you cannot do that with the end point. So I'm going to show you. Let me disable those. Let me show you how this is going to work. So at first I increase this one maybe to 3.5, but the lower limit for you might be just at -1. So go to and right click that point and say edit key. On edit key you can say I want a value of -10, and then press enter, and it should increase the scale to that to -10. Once you are done with that, go from space local to space world. Now you can see that particles are going up and then falling down. So play around with the values a bit. Maybe you want them to fly a bit higher, or maybe you want to fly them a bit lower, and maybe you also want them fall down faster. Then you have to increase that value once again, or you want them not to be that fast, but you want them to hit at least the ground once. You can always check if they are hitting or actually falling through the ground by just changing the angle of the camera to see this better. Okay, so basically this is what I wanted to show you. I wanted to cover how you can create big effects with small things and small time. Don't forget to rename your system over here to to dirt, and choose whatever particles you want. And yeah, don't forget, if you are using this one as an attack, you have to disable all that stuff here, all that particle systems. You need to disable looping, since yeah, you don't want to loop that. So if you don't know how to do this, you just watch my health bar tutorial. I think I cover it inside of that, because not health bar, my healing spell effect. Let's see, I can show you this one pretty quick. Don't maximize. So if if I want to heal myself, then I just to enable the looping stuff, and then it's going to disable after it's ended. And yeah, go over and check this one out if you want to. I think I will link this one inside of the video. Okay, so this is what I wanted to cover. You have some cracks right now on the bottom of your plane. Always check if the positions are right. This might not work with terrain which is too mountainish or too blobby, because the particle system will stick into the other into terrain or into buildings or anything else which is nearby. There you need to use some other methods, but basically this is how you can do that stuff. So I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you learned something from that particle systems, especially maybe about velocity over lifetime. and all that other cracking stuff, and that clouds rotating after about amount of time, and so on and so forth. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message or write me in the comments below. Don't forget to sub this video up if you feel like it, and if you like that video, of course, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. So see you in the next tutorial. Bye bye.